Why trauma-informed restorative practices? Okay, trauma-informed restorative practice is basically, the underlying is, just as we need food, we need shelter, we need clothing to survive, we also need meaningful relationships in order to thrive and be successful. Restorative practices is an emerging social science that studies how to strengthen relationships between individuals as well as individuals within communities. Okay, so with that underlying, or with that idea is, well, that's the essence of our school, to strengthen relationships, to strengthen our communities. So, what is trauma-informed restorative practice? So, as I mentioned, to build healthy relationships, to resolve conflict, hold individuals responsible, but focus on repairing harm. We are moving away from the punitive approach to discipline, and again, it's about making individuals feel whole, that they are seen in their full humanity and that they belong. The other piece is to reduce recidivism with our students. So we have a mission statement. So to reduce suspension, strengthen school community relationships, and as I mentioned, address recidivism and reduce racial disparities. Our vision is to foster a positive school culture that specifically encourages acceptable behavior to build lasting relationships within the school community, and then obviously then that will extend beyond just our school, but the surrounding community. Well, one of our goals as well is to not only have this at the high school, but in time to make this district-wide. It is a sustainable program. We are starting at the high school. It is a 3-year implementation program. But then we will, again, move through working with the middle school and, again, the elementary school. We had actually a training today, which was fantastic. Someone from the, it's called the IRP Graduate School at the University of Pennsylvania, came and did a training with a lot of the high school staff. We also had Mr. Ninavaji there from the middle school and Ms. Pedroza. And so we're already setting the groundwork for that district-wide movement. Now, one thing that I saw firsthand when I had the opportunity to work at the elementary school last fall, they already have a process of restorative practices, you know, working with the little ones. And, you know, the writing is on the wall already. I see where they're going to end up, if you will, at the high school, but seeing where they're starting at the elementary, and it was just eye-opening to be able to make those connections. I felt very fortunate, and this program is really just going to strengthen our district as a whole and our community. So, the trauma-informed restorative practice, creates student-centered environment. Our current discipline procedures are not successful, right? They're not equitable, and they're antiquated based on current research. The idea is, again, to improve our overall school culture, reduce any racial disparities in school discipline, and also very key is reduce the loss of instruction time. Because when a student is disciplined, often they are out of the classroom. That is a win in no direction, any way, shape, or form. So by building our relationships, removing that punitive, and having students stay in the classroom more, the outcome is only positive. It's a win. We're boosting our academic outcomes. We'll be improving the social, emotional, and behavior responsive of students through the use of more appropriate, as I said, less punitive interventions, thus establishing a more supportive school culture. As I mentioned, reduce recidivism rates, and create a culture of empathetic interactions among students and staff. So, what does it actually look like? So we have our punitive approach on the left versus what a restorative practice. The punitive asks, what rule was broken? Restorative, who was harmed? And the next step is, how do we fix that harm? How do we rebuild that relationship? Punitive, who broke it? It's more the why. What are their needs that then brought us to that behavior? The punitive, again, how should they be punished? And this is, how do we make them accountable for the right things? So our three main goals for this program, as I mentioned, to reduce racial disparities in school in regards to discipline, improve the social and emotional behavioral response of the students through the use of more appropriate and less punitive interventions, and goal 3, reduce the recidivism. So, as I mentioned, it is a 3-year implementation program. So step 1, we have the International Institute of Restorative Practices coming in. So again, today was training 1 for a portion of our staff. We will have another group for our next day. Our goal is to have all of our staff trained in this. As I mentioned, a 3-year implementation program. It's a comprehensive program with annual assessments. So there's ways to mark our progress and make sure we are continuing on the right track for the success. Obviously, is to train all our staff. And number 4, so important, is a sustainable model. So it's not 3 years, we're here and then we're gone. So as staff members retire, as new members come into our district, we will be able to turnkey our program so it is maintained beyond the 3 years. Thank you for giving us this opportunity to speak. Is there any questions?